I mean, it's come up in conversation already. So Florence is excommunicated several times in this period. 1478 with the Pazzi conspiracy is probably the biggest example of this. So that involves Lorenzo. It also involves Guglielmo de Pazzi. Federico de Montefeltro is involved. What happens is the Pazzi family try to kill the Medici family in the cathedral, of all places. So this is the 26th of April, 1478. They kill one Medici brother, they don't kill Lorenzo. But what Lorenzo does in response to this is kidnap the Pope, who is Sixtus IV's nephew. He also executes the Archbishop of Pisa, for which he is excommunicated because you've killed a man of the cloth. A really horrible, bloody aftermath, which then also brings in characters like Da Vinci. So Da Vinci actually sees some of these people being executed. You'll see his very quick drawing he made of one of the conspirators being hanged. Got the best cast of characters. They're just brilliant.
This from this theme of Lorenzo il Magnifico, this Medici theme.
Yeah, it's the best.
Yeah. Raising the Tobagos, we growing like fresh tomatoes. Them boys on fire, too fuego. We pass it round hot potato. Everything is nuevo. I'm with my sweetie like Quavo. Need my cheese, need that queso. Need my bread, need that bankroll. Wake up, yes, Lord, I'm thankful. Another day on my schedule. Steady blocking the devil. I tell a hater, God bless you. Cherish moments that special. You got it.
So I spent the past 6 years of my life studying not Florence. I've studied Rome during the Renaissance in the 15th century, predominantly the papacy. So my doctoral thesis examined the early ecclesiastical career of Rodrigo Borgia, who probably better known as Pope Alexander VI, portrayed notably by Jeremy Irons in the TV series. So I've spent my last 6 years working sort of with the Borgias, working around notions of violence, and by contrast, depictions of the Borgias in modern media and sort of contemporary media, with a particular focus on notions of the diabolic. So it's been a roundabout way of studying the Renaissance for me.
There is like 150 unique pieces of artwork, and I got to tell you, the 40 figures. Do not know who they are at all.
The Lorenzo game, I actually never heard of, so I definitely want that.
Wow, so you actually are interested in playing it. Yeah. The game has got these like 4 towers, and by the way, I don't know, do these things about towers ring any bells with you, or?
Like physical.
It's got these four white towers in the game.
Okay, so probably not in terms of if it was based in Florence. Florence isn't known apart from the bell tower near the cathedral and the sort of tower above the main municipal palazzo. But in some of the neighbouring sort of towns in Tuscany, particularly one called San Gimignano, they're famous for their towers.
Okay.
On a hilltop, it's pretty impressive when you come in on the train that their city, it's like a city with just towers. So families would compete to build sort of the tallest tower. So the tallest tower would win. But then because they were getting so unstable and so extreme, there was like a limit on how high they could extend them.
Right. So the first tower is the Green Tower, basically about acquiring territory and harvesting the benefits from it.
So that's the story of how the Medici dynasty actually is founded, is this sort of acquiring territory and sort of resources. So we probably know them, and I guess that's how the game portrays them, as nobles, but they actually start out as quite sort of like peasant mercantile background, cloth merchants who then through sort of a series of different transactions acquire sort of their first sort of, I guess, palazzos or manor houses, and they start expanding across. They move from Tuscany to Florence. There's a series of mines as well outside Florence called Tolfa, where they mine alum. So alum's one of the key ingredients for dyeing clothes. So you can imagine in the market, it's quite lucrative. And there's a monopoly on that for resources. So different parties, the Florentines, I think Pisa and the papacy all compete for this one natural sort of recurring resource. And Pope Sixtus IV, so on the game he's known as Sisto Quattro. He's the Pope from 1471 to 1484. He wants the alum because he knows how much income it brings to Florence and how much then prestige the city gets and how much of a rival it then is to Rome. So he tries to get the mining rights to this. And this sort of culminates, or was definitely one of the contributing factors to a major conspiracy and plot that goes on in Florence, which then involves quite a lot of the other characters.
In Lorenzo il Magnifico, there are 4 towers which you fill with cards. Each tower has a particular color of cards. These are the green territory cards that I was just talking to Katie about. Each round, players try to grab all the cards they can, and you place them in your player area. And at the end of the round, any cards left get swept, and the towers are refilled. There are 6 rounds, so this happens 6 times, and you get to see 96 unique cards in your game. You want to grab cards that give you victory points, but cards cost resources, so first you want to get cards that give you resources. There are yet more cards, 40 leader cards if you have the expansion, and you get a few of these at the start of the game and they give you some goals to aim for. The blue tower's character cards give you special abilities during the game. The purple venture cards are mostly about end game victory points. Your green territory cards go here, and they can all be activated every round to give you resources. And the yellow cards, which are the buildings, they work the same way too.
So buildings is one key part of the game.
So Florence in this period goes through a lot of building projects. The biggest and most notable one, it's still standing, is the dome of the cathedral. So the city runs a competition to find someone to design the dome. And Brunelleschi wins the competition. His design basically is a dome within a dome. So it's freestanding. He designs all the machinery to go to lift everything from the ground upwards. And basically it's not completed on the ground, it's completed as they're going up. So the workmen are working pretty much overhanging the main square and holding on for dear lives on the side of the cathedral.
Okay.
So you've sold me on that.
All right. Okay. So you're quite interested in playing it.
Wow. I think it'd be a good fun game.
Wow. Cool. All right. So well, yeah, you actually can play Lorenzo online, and I tried it out the other day, and it's it's actually quite a good interface. It's really pretty good. But I was thinking, like, I didn't want to subject you to that as an introduction, so that's why I chose the easier game, easier to learn one, Splendor it's called. But you're interested in that one too, you say?
Yeah, I didn't get a chance, unfortunately, to have a look at it, but the concept alone, I was like, I can see how this is going to play itself out, so it sounded fascinating as well.
Well, would you be up for playing a game of it this afternoon?
Yeah, give it
All
a
right.
go.
Cool, nice one.
Like Lorenzo il Magnifico, Splendor is a game about grabbing cards from a tableau. This number in the top left is victory points, and whenever a player gets to 15 points, they are the winner. The cards have a cost in gem tokens, which are on the bottom left. So you spend a lot of turns collecting these gems and then cashing them in to buy cards. The cards higher up the rows are more expensive but give you more victory points. As well as collecting cards for victory points, you're trying to collect them in sets, because here if I had 4 sapphires and 4 diamonds, I would get visited by this noble, in this case Machiavelli, and that would get me an extra 3 victory points, which can often make the difference between winning and losing the game. As well as getting icons to make those sets for the nobles, you're also trying to get these icons so that they get you discounts. For example, this card, instead of costing 6 rubies, it would just cost me 3 rubies because I have these 3 ruby icons in front of me. So these icons act as discounts on future purchases. So you're trying to get cards that will score you victory points, get you the nobles, but also cards that are going to give you the right discounts so that you can afford these top row cards, which have got a lot more points on them.
Okay, you're very competitive.
I am, yeah. Oh, let me just see what I've got.
Is the discount thing making sense?
Sort of, yeah.
You've got 3 ruby discount, I think.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in the middle row, you could go for that card that costs 6 rubies. You could possibly get that, because you've got such a big discount on rubies.
The top and the bottom one definitely look like Machiavelli and Henry VIII. And then, yeah, it comes up, it's Isabella of Castile. Yeah, the Machiavelli one looks like the portrait of him. But the middle one I hadn't got. I wouldn't have said it straight away, that's Isabella of Castile. That took me hovering over it and the name coming up.
Right, and I don't know who that is, by the way, but do you?
So she figured a little bit in my thesis. So she's probably better known for marrying Ferdinand, who's one of her cousins. We're famous for sort of being the Spanish monarchs, or the most Catholic monarchs. They united the kingdoms of Castile and Aragon in sort of the late 15th century in Spain. Very sort of driven by religion, quite like the superpower couple. She's very formidable. And she's the mum of Catherine of Aragon.
Oh, that's cool.
Quite nicely to Henry VIII being in there.
Oh, because they were both in our game.
Yep.
That's mad that you can connect those two. Oh, you got Isabella. Did you see that? Oh, you've got 14 points. Oh, wow. Do you see that? Now, a lot of this is kind of luck of the draw, I think, partly because cards just come up and on top row and it's flashing because it costs 7 onyx, the top right one. And I have a 5 onyx discount.
Oh.
And it's 5 points. So that's just been an absolute gift for me. And it puts me on 14, doesn't it? Yep.
Did you get anyone?
Oh.
There you go. Oh, you won.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you had it.
No. Machiavelli, true to form, wins everything.
Go on, what do you think of Splendor?
Oh, I loved it. Very competitive. There were some historical themes on there, but which is like a nerd, I was all over. There were some which had, there was one with an equestrian statue which I recognise. I think it's of Joan of Arc. So it was interesting just to have a little look at the background of the cards.
So is that the one of the person on the horse?
Yeah, with the sort of arm outstretched with the banner. I know that appealed. This is fun.
Good.
I've got 2 games now that I want to go and buy. So no, you've sold me on both of these.
So third tower is going to be the blue tower. Whoops. So it's people to influence, connections. It's about networking.
There's a whole host of characters in here that sort of automatically spring to mind. If we go down the preacher route, there is Girolamo Savonarola, who's mentioned in the game. Savonarola's story is quite interesting. So he gets in quite a lot of trouble very quickly. It's part of this trend where at the end of the 15th century, everything's going wrong. There's a lot of wars, there's a lot of pestilence. The church is very corrupt. So these are all themes he picks up on. He gets in conflict with Pope Alexander VI, who weirdly isn't mentioned in sort of the list of characters, Rodrigo Borgia. He is the father of Cesare Borgia and Lucrezia, who are mentioned in the game. So him and Savonarola get in this almighty sort of argument. He tries to ban Savonarola from preaching because Savonarola is very critical of the church and all the sort of corruption that's going on. Savonarola ignores him. It gets to the stage where Florence is excommunicated. Savonarola is told he can't preach anymore. He still preaches. So Alexander VI, with sort of a commission of cardinals and a group of very dissatisfied Florentines, essentially at the end of the story, have him publicly hanged in the main square and then have him burnt.
No.
Yeah. You've got Pietro Bembo is a cardinal. He's from Venice. He's from an aristocratic Venetian family. He actually falls in love with Lucrezia Borgia, who's on the list. There's a lot of love letters that have survived between the two of them.
Oh.
Yeah, so the funny sort of anecdote about them is Lord Byron saw them, the letters, and said they were the prettiest love letters in the world. You've got Cesare Borgia, so the son of Pope Alexander VI. So he was always trained to go into the church because he's the second son in the family. So that's a traditional career path. He didn't want to be in the church. He desperately wanted to lead an army. So his brother dies in mysterious circumstances that he certainly probably didn't have anything to do with. His brother won, or in Italian it's Giovanni, led the papal army. So that's the biggest military sort of contract you can get. He's not very good at it. Cesare is very jealous. One night the brother goes out for dinner with them all and doesn't come home. He's then pulled out of the river 3 days later with stab wounds. It's still a cold case. It's never been solved.
Okay.
Funnily enough, a colleague and myself have just pitched it to a TV series, just because, yeah, it's never been solved. There are at least 8 suspects, one of which is Cesare Borgia. Some of the Sforzas are also, I can see them on the list. Ludovico Il Moro is but it's through his brother, who is a cardinal, who's not on this list. He wants to follow up on Netflix. There is a series, it's a 3 series, called Medici Masters of Florence. The conspiracy is actually sort of it's being acted out in the 2nd series, so you can see this whole thing from start to finish. So I mean, the only thing I was going to recommend if anybody wanted any books to read was this one.
All right.
I don't know if I can show you. It's called The Artist, the Philosopher and the Warrior. So it takes Da Vinci, Cesare Borgia and Machiavelli, but you also get a really good history of Florence and Rome and Italy through their 3 lives and how they all interconnect.
There's a 4th kind of tower, which is purple. These are just ventures. This is about innovation. It's about ideas, making things happen.
So that the Magnificent or Magnificenza comes from sort of this idea of patronage and turning Florence into this real cultural hub. So he, or the Medici family in general, employ sort of a whole wealth of artists like Brunelleschi we've talked about. Leon Battista Alberti is also at times sort of working with the Medici and different Florentine families. So he wrote a very significant book on painting in 1435. Yeah, kind of, I guess, laid the groundwork about sort of things like dimensions for future artists like Da Vinci, Michelangelo. But names like this really do help the Medici and Lorenzo get this sort of idea of magnificence around them.
And King Manuel I, he actually was alive at the same time as Lorenzo Il Magnifico. And it's this beautiful tile-laying game, right? It's called Azul. And I've been in lockdown, I've been playing it like loads with my family because they love it. It's a great family game, and I just really highly recommend it to you. Does that theme sound familiar? Have you heard of King Manuel before?
I've heard of King Manuel. I was about to say, with the tiles in Spain, we've got a few in the Ashmolean Museum from Valencia, and they're, as soon as you showed the image, it's very blue and like aquamarine-esque in colours. So I'd be interested in that one as well.
Yeah, I've really been looking forward to this, so thank you.
It's been wonderful. I've got 3 new games to go and buy.
Yeah. Raising the Tobagos, we growing like fresh tomatoes. Them boys on fire, too fuego. We pass it round hot potato. Everything is nuevo. I'm with my sweetie like Quavo. Need my cheese, need that queso. Need my bread, need that bankroll. Wake up, yes, Lord, I'm thankful. Another day on my schedule. Steady blocking the devil. I tell a hater, God.